Hey everyone, welcome back to GL Spinners. Today I've got another new Spinner Day video for you. I had a big mail drop earlier this week and this one came in as part of that. But this is the Focus V2 from 313 Inc. This one's been extremely popular lately. It's pretty much been on all the big channels, everyone's reviewed it, and that's understandable because it's a really nice spinner at a great price. But let's go ahead and start what we always do. We're going to take a look at what it came in. 313 Inc. is another smaller maker. They still sell on Etsy. So no tin in this case, but they did package it in a nice bubble wrapped envelope. It did keep it secure during shipping, but as always, I think it's nice to get it like a pouch or a tin. Another item that they include in the packaging is they send a thank you card. Simply gives you a thank you for purchasing it, and it's also got their support info down at the bottom. So if something's wrong with the spinner, you easily can contact them and I'm sure they'll take care of it. Just a nice little extra touch. But let's go ahead and take a look at the spinner. The Focus V2 is a bar style spinner. It's got a brass frame and then it's also got copper buttons. It's a nice EDC size. This one weighs in at 71 grams or 2.5 ounces and from end to end measures in at slightly under 2 inches. But the biggest selling point on the Focus V2 is the price. This spinner is only $20. And that's a great price for a metal spinner that's not aluminum. You really just don't see brass and copper spinners at this price point. Not to mention the fact that the machining on this thing is done really great. You can see everything on it is put together nicely. It fits well. So I mean the fit and finish on it's really good. It's going to be hard to beat in that value category, but one downside to point out is that if you're not a fan of patina, it's going to be unavoidable on this one. The brass and the copper are definitely going to patina. But let's go ahead and talk about the spin on it. It is balanced really well. It does have noticeable bar wobble, so keep that in mind, but it's got a nice spin with a consistent feel. In hand, it does fidget well. With it being a bar style, I prefer to pull spin it, but you can easily flick spin it as well. And with that nice EDC size, you can pretty much fidget any method you prefer. It doesn't come close to hitting my palm. But one thing to point out is that the corners here on the arms, they're not rough to the touch, but when you pull and stop the spinner, it's exactly where my fingers hit. Again, it's not rough, but I would consider it a hot spot. It's just not comfortable. It's mostly going to be due to their design because it is that bow tie shape, but it is something to consider if they do a version 3 just to soften up this edge. I think it'd be a great improvement. So let's go ahead and talk about the buttons. They're large, they are flat, and you can see they've done like a honeycomb design on them. And that's something I've never really seen before. It almost looks like they made these with a drill. In the images they look sharp, but I think texture describes it best. You do feel them, but there's no irritation and they're not really rough. The buttons are threaded, but this is another set that's very specific to the spinner. I tried a couple of different sets on it and I just couldn't get any others to work, and that's because of this recess that they've got built in on both sides of the frame. Another thing that's kind of cool though is they actually engraved the name of the spinner, and then also on the other side you've got their website and the manufacturer date, and that's just a nice little extra touch. Another difference is the bearing. This is an SR188 bearing, so it is thinner than your standard R188. The inside and outside diameters are exactly the same, but because of the thinness of it, it's a little different. You can see their lock method is different as well. They actually have a C-clip set inside the frame. For this, you have to have some pliers with some really tiny ends to be able to pinch it and pull it out. So it is a little bit different, and I would obviously prefer a threaded lock because that's just easier as far as removal and maintenance. So another just different point. But again, just to demonstrate, like I said, the buttons on this are specific. They only fit on one way. If you put them on backwards, you just won't be able to spin it. You'll see here I actually put them on, and on one side here it's completely flush against the frame and is going to stop it from spinning, and that puts all the clearance and gap on the other side. But an easy fix, you just simply reverse them, and here you can see I've got a smaller gap, and then once I thread the other button on, it fits no problem. So not a big deal, but it is something to point out. It's not universal like on a lot of other spinners we've seen. But like I said, I mean, the spin on this thing is still pretty good. It's a quality spinner. We're at the point though where I want to compare it to some other similar spinners. So the first one I've got here on the right is the iFidget. I'm a huge fan of the iFidget, but the iFidget is 3 times the price. It is stainless steel, but I mean, you can see it's just got a lot more machining detail to it. It's also going to be slightly smaller overall in the frame, and they are about the same thickness. The buttons though, I do definitely prefer them on the iFidget. They feel a lot better as far as, you know, the fact that they're concave. One to really compare it to is going to be the Mini Falcon from Flyaway Toys. This one is very similar in size and shape, and I mean overall they're just really close. The Focus V2 is going to be slightly thicker, and with it being brass and copper, it is going to patina as opposed to the stainless steel on the Mini Falcon. But again, the Mini Falcon is a lot more expensive. The buttons are different as well. The Mini Falcon has some of my favorite buttons with that recess and a nice raised edge on it. So that is a big win for the Mini Falcon, but I mean, these have a very similar feel to them. So I'll have a link down in the description below to 313's site and their Etsy store if you want to purchase one. If you're in the market for an entry-level metal spinner or just want another nice one to add to your collection, I definitely recommend it. Again, bar spinners aren't for everyone, and this is not going to push a stubby out of your pocket, but it's a nicely made, inexpensive spinner. It does have its drawbacks with the specific button set and the different bearing, but at this price, I think most people can overlook that. You know, let me know what you think. Did you pick one up? How do you like it? What do you think it most compares to? If you got questions, put them down in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. If you like the video, be sure and give me a thumbs up, as it always helps. And if you want to see more spinner content and reviews, be sure and subscribe. As always, thanks for watching. Have a good one.